Burning the tag up. It's like, we'll get it in time. I think.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah, thank you guys tonight.
Bill's asking mold drone. It's been there so long.
1 minute. Let's roll. Oh, no, I said 1 minute.
Yeah, we have a less than a minute.
Good. I'd like to welcome everybody to our Monday, February 9th, 2026 Cascade City Council meeting. We'll have a call to order with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Raker.
Here.
Weber.
Here.
Hush.
Here.
Gale.
Here.
Delaney.
Here. Need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Hush,
Second.
second by Weber. All in favor?
Aye.
Before public comment, I'd like to thank our Public Works group, Phil and the other guys, for doing such a great job on our most recent water main breaks. They do an awesome, awesome job, and it's always in the worst possible condition. So thanks, everybody, for doing a great job. At this point, we'll have public comment, a limit of 3 minutes per person on agenda items and local government issues. Seeing none, we'll go to the consent agenda. City Council minutes 1/26/26, Park Board minutes 2/2/26, Cascade Public Library minutes 2/3/26, Jones County Economic Development Annual Meeting minutes 1/28/25, and Jones County Economic Development Board meeting minutes 12/23/25, November 2025 month-end financial reports, and February 9th, 2026 claims. Is there any concerns on the consent agenda?
Yeah, so the check that, or the claim that's in, or, for the city of Monticello for $376.25, we will be voiding that because the training was canceled.
Is there any other questions on the consent agenda?
I guess, are you guys okay with how the reports came out for month end? I mean, can you know,
Oh, yeah.
understand?
This is our
that?
first time doing it from
Yeah.
the new software,
Yeah, so
so.
we're just making sure that this is, is this what you guys want to see? And
Well, it's a little confusing when they start with a negative
I
ahead
know.
of things, and are they referring to the overall budget and how much of it's being spent when they get to the percentages at the end of those columns? It's,
Which report are you referring to?
I don't know, it seems
Well,
like,
Oh,
the
okay.
garbage one's negative all the way across.
So negative is actually positive, like positive. I know it's really confusing, but that's the way the software is. So when you see
Yeah.
a negative number,
That's,
that's
all
revenue.
all
That's-
revenue is negative.
Yes.
Which is a good thing.
okay, so all the negatives
I know,
are
it's
good.
very hard
Yeah.
to change your mind.
Mm-hmm.
That's good to know.
Any other questions?
That makes sense.
If none, I need a motion on the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Hush,
Second.
second by Delaney, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 7, review feasibility study results for the police department.
So, I mean, in my memo, I kind of went through and did option 1, which was moving to the old library cost and what that included. And then option 2 is the existing police department and what the renovation of the existing space would look like and how much. And then also added if we were to construct a 600 square foot addition, what that cost would be. And then I also mentioned in my memo about a third possible option, because we did talk about this, I don't know exactly how many years ago, but like 17 or 18, about, the public safety campus, and if that is still something that everyone is interested in pursuing, then I think that needs to be like our main focus, instead of maybe putting all the money into, moving to the old library or renovating the police department. But I think that maybe we'll take, maybe having a workshop and inviting the three entities that would be, affected, in on that conversation.
That would be a good thing, to have everybody sit down and get their thoughts on where they would like us to be
I think so.
5 years down the road, or it'd probably be longer than that.
Probably.
I would imagine. What's everybody think?
I like that idea of sitting down with them, make sure everybody's on the same page and
See what their needs are?
yeah.
And I think it might be better if we do it as like a separate workshop night, so that's like
Absolutely.
all we focus on.
So we
Yeah.
can get together and meet and talk and
Yeah.
discuss without.
Sounds
Yeah.
like a very good
I
idea.
think we need a plan before we do anything.
Yeah, I think so too.
Before we start spending money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Well, we
Exactly.
gotta, look to the future, like we said last week.
Yeah. Yep. Well, that, and, we gotta make sure that all the departments are on board with it, and then well, obviously, if we're gonna move that direction or something, we'll have to get community
Support.
We'll have to reach out to the community and make sure everybody's, on board with that too.
Bill?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Anything else? If nothing, we'll go to number 8. Consideration to approve resolution number 5-26, a resolution authorizing a facade grant for Iowa Main Street Investments LLC for 201 Second Avenue Southwest in the amount of $20,000.
Okay, so I did my memo, but the facade program was planned for First Avenue only, like from Blackie's to
To the
the
bridge.
bridge. And this is on Second Avenue. But when I met with the owner, I had asked him if this had been discussed prior because of that. And he indicated that it was included in the grant application, and it was. Because I actually pulled it and looked at it, and then I printed it off. That, in the narrative of the grant, it did say that the city participation, a property tax reimbursement, a possible TIF loan, and up to a $20,000 downtown facade renovation reimbursement. So, and that was in the narrative, and when they discussed the budget, it was also included. So at some point, it must have been discussed, even though it was not in the actual downtown area that was covered by the facade grant. So,
So does this open up problems in the future for other places that wouldn't be on Main Street or?
well, one thing, Bill and I were talking about it earlier today, and maybe we need to, since there is development happening on like Second Avenue now, maybe we need to look at the program requirements of the facade grant. Maybe we need to open it up and, expand it a little bit.
I think we've had a lot of success with it. A lot of people have been, just look downtown, we've really changed the landscape downtown with people taking advantage of it, so I wouldn't be against it. But our focus at the time was the downtown.
Yeah, that was the
So
original.
The facade grant was just, so I see downtown that buildings are started but not finished.
Mhm.
So that's just the face of the building.
Right.
Doesn't mean,
Yeah.
so once they get that money, they can, there's a few that stuck some money into it
Yeah.
but didn't keep going.
It'd be nice if they started, if they continued.
Yes. we need to stay on things and keep it rolling downtown.
I guess like you said, if you get money and redo the facade, you could actually just leave the rest of the building go.
Right. Once that money's gone.
That's
It was more to be meant as an incentive to,
spur other,
yeah,
Mhm.
to help,
Fix things up.
yep, keep things looking nice.
That's basically what the Main Street program, the Iowa Main Street program does, though. It basically only worries about the
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 facade,
facade, similar to what we're doing,
to make it visually appealing.
yeah. So it's,
Anybody have anything else?
well, again, the problem is, what do we do in the future? Since this technically is not a building that should be part of the facade program, do we, I was thinking perhaps, since downtown is in it, we could allow that. Otherwise, we're gonna end up with somewhere on the other side of town looking for the same thing, because once you make an exception.
So
it's-
are you thinking, I mean, exception just for downtown then, or just in downtown general in that
Well,
district? or-
the TIF district would be
Downtown.
basically all the buildings, you know, it's a certain TIF district area.
right.
Rather than stipulating First Avenue, you would just say, you know, rather than stipulating First Avenue, you would sit there and say, in the, whatever the TIF district is, the
downtown,
downtown
yeah.
is in, any building in that area, which kind of makes sense, because that'd be their property tax going towards, you know, replenishing the TIF as well.
Would we have to rewrite the program
I'm
to encompass?
I'm
that?
sure we
I
would.
I think we probably should update it
Because
then, if that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be encompassing that many more buildings.
No.
It would
Not really, no.
basically be, but at least it would get us away from, you know, what we're doing now is actually going outside the parameters of the program. And it appears like we're kind of locked into,
So it was just the downtown?
well, I don't know if you remember,
No, that's why I don't know what it was.
Yeah,
Originally,
it was just mainly the main.
from the bridge
street
to
on
the
that.
lights?
Yeah.
I don't know if you
Yeah,
remember
just past.
when Blackie's down here, when McAllister's went and redid the whole building. It was actually, whether Johnson Street, 136, was part of that or not, and it turned out it was just on First Avenue.
What faced
The
First
facade
Avenue?
on First Avenue, because it's supposed to be on First Avenue. So technically, it, you know, came into play in that situation, so.
Yep.
This would allow,
Outside of just Main Street,
yeah,
yeah,
which wouldn't
It
be,
actually is downtown.
yeah.
And it really wouldn't, I mean, like Bill said, it really wouldn't actually be that many more buildings.
No.
So I need a motion,
I'd make a motion to that.
motion by
effect.
Delaney,
just for clarification though, it would again just be the face of a building that's on, it
The
was just the
street.
face of the building, whatever the
Yeah,
street
the-
address
the-
is on.
Whatever is facing
And
is the
not
main
sides of
front
building.
facade of your
And
building.
not sides of
Yeah,
buildings,
Yeah,
whatever
not the
that's in
sides,
the-
just the front facade of your building, whether it's facing, whatever one's facing the street.
Yeah.
Would be the side that you would.
How much money do they get for that? I mean, this one's 20,000, but
That's it.
That's the
Just
max.
20,000 is the
Yeah, we
max.
capped it at 20.
And they gotta turn in, like you've seen here, they have to turn in all the receipts and everything. And then
Receipts, canceled checks.
we,
all of
once
that.
the work's done, then we reimburse them for, but they have to show that they did the work and obviously can see it, so.
need a second?
So that I'm clear, is this motion to grant this, or is this to rewrite?
This is to grant this.
This is for the grant, we don't have to rewrite the program.
first?
To
At-
come in
I
that
think we
first?
need-
At some
I think
point, we need to
should,
look
yeah.
at doing that.
Okay.
But this is just for this instance.
But
Just
if
a
we
grant,
approve
so that this can move forward.
First,
With the I think, I was,
I think
I
you
was
gotta
going
rewrite
with the
it first,
rewriting
don't
of
you?
the whole thing.
Is it more safe to rewrite it and then bring this back up to revisit this?
you don't
That's the
have to,
question.
right?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
so you don't get into a problem.
Is there any risk associated with approving the grant first?
You probably could if somebody else that wasn't on Main Street decided they wanted to do a facade.
How long would it take to redo the grant, or the
The wording.
wording?
I mean, I can have it ready for the next meeting.
We'd have to have three readings, but we could.
It's not an
Correct.
ordinance. It's not an ordinance. It's just a policy.
I mean, you could rewrite it that you would do it on a case-by-case basis. You know,
I don't think you can do it like that.
you'd have to have it in a given area.
Yeah, I think we'd have to specify it for the area that it's in. I don't think you can,
Pick
I don't
and
think
choose.
it'd be right to lay it out that like, I think everybody gets treated when they come down the
Yeah.
same, If you're facing that, and you're in that district, then you have the ability to do it just like anybody else. So, I mean, if we're gonna move off Main Street, then it's gotta be across the board for anybody who's in that district.
So do you want to table this until the program's
I
rewritten?
don't. So, I mean, we're talking the TIF district. What is the TIF district down here? So we all know. Is it?
I can provide a map when we
Yeah,
start
that's what I'm
talking about
saying.
it,
I
so
don't
then
see how we can
everybody
vote on
knows.
something if we don't know
Where the area
where
is.
it's at. So,
So do we wanna table this then? Until then?
Probably was payment, and then at the next meeting, we would go ahead and,
see what's,
we would
see how we-
vote on the
On the new
on the new
wording.
procedures,
Yeah.
and then we could actually bring this back up after that, I assume. Another thing is, it'd be nice that, since this was not really brought, I'm not sure if this was ever really 100% brought before the council, be nice on any of these programs that the council at least okays them before they move forward. In other words,
The project.
yeah, I mean, that we're not being blindsided. In other words, anybody asking for a facade grant or
This was
improvement,
pre-approved, wasn't it?
where it would,
Yeah, you guys had to approve writing this grant.
Yeah, that's
To
the
Iowa
way.
Main Street, so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember us when he was going into that project then.
Yeah, that's what he
which,
said.
I mean, you gotta remember, and I'm not saying anything against it, but when this was granted, it was the Main Street building.
Oh,
It's
cause
the KC.
the
Hall.
original was the KC Hall, yeah.
I'm not saying that we shouldn't do it over there, but I'm just saying, that's
That was the
probably
original.
what happened, if you guys don't remember.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look. I don't know off the top of my head for that part of it.
I
Yeah,
don't
I'd have
think
to
so.
look at it
I
all.
don't think so.
I just think we need to look
you're
into it.
Because,
And
no,
then-
I
Yeah,
think
so
you're
let's just
wrong.
go ahead and table it and then,
Because we were never talking about a grant like this. Well, not when we were talking about the other building.
let's table it and then, and come back around to it.
I need a motion to table.
I'll make a motion to table it.
Motion by Weber,
Second.
second by Raker. Roll call.
Raker,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Hush,
aye.
Gale,
Aye.
Delaney.
Aye.
Number 9, that's a tabled item on a request from CEDC, and we want to just leave this tabled until we make a decision on that.
That's up to you guys.
Yes.
Yes.
Number 10, reports. Fred?
In my pack, I didn't get a copy of it, but I did a little different type of report this month. Did that get included in the packet?
No.
Okay, sorry about
I
that.
didn't see it in my folder.
Maybe I put it in the wrong folder. Anyway, did a little bit different report. I was gonna see what your thoughts were on that, kind of using a bar chart, kind of to tell you where we're at as far as cases, and so I'll see if I can get copies of that printed out for the next meeting, so.
Just email us all too.
That'd work.
Yeah, I mean, sorry about that. Any questions for me?
Don't think so.
Any thoughts on us? I'm gonna put this bug back in your ear about maybe possibly using the library temporarily until we figure out what's going on? Or whenever we can have this meeting with fire and EMS?
What would you use it for?
Expand our office. You've seen our office.
Yes, I have, Fred. I'm not happy with it, so.
All right, well, as long as you're happy with it.
No, I'm not.
No.
I think you can clean it up a little bit.
I'd like to find a spot to put some of that stuff, so.
Is there available space in the basement that you could cubicle off a dedicated space for any of the overrun?
I would have to look, but I know there's humidifiers running down there all the time. And some of the stuff we have to keep climate controlled.
What's in the back room there? What's that stuff?
A lot of those are old files that we have to keep. There's evidence.
This stuff in the middle of that room? All the wheelbarrows?
There's files back there from prior to having computers.
In the room where the furnace is? Okay. Didn't see that, but, okay.
Okay.
I think we need to have a workshop
Yeah.
so we can look at this.
Sooner than later.
Yes.
walkthrough?
This is getting drug out too long.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions for me? or-
Nope.
Okay. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Fred.
Thanks, Fred.
Deanna?
Okay, just an update. So the food pantry is gonna be using the library basically just to store stuff during their construction. They did add us as an additional insured on their insurance policy for that duration. I had submitted a letter to the Jones County EMS or the Board of Supervisors basically, to request $42,000 from our levy funds. And we received that money already. And the calls that we had for the last fiscal year actually doubled. So we're hoping, because it's based on the number of calls, so we're hoping that when we get the money for this next fiscal year, that it'll be hopefully double or close to being double what we already have, which is good because then we can ask for additional funds. If you remember, that's how we're partly paying for the ambulance that we're purchasing, is asking some of these funds. We met with Cindy from Insurance Associates last week, just because she wants some preliminary stuff, and then she goes over a few things. Right now, they're looking at possibly a 4% increase to our insurance, except for the values. Some of the stuff, they look at the values and they automatically update the values, which makes our premiums go up. I attended the EMS meeting last Monday night, along with Councilmember Delaney and Raker. I've been pretty much working on the budget nonstop. Melissa and I talked with Cascade Lumber about purchasing tools for the tool library, and we're right now drafting a list, and we'll be working with Cascade Lumber to purchase the items. They do have a sale going on until the end of the month, so we're hoping to meet with them like the last week to start ordering some of the tools that we want to put in there. And our goal is to have this up and functioning by April or May. We're still working with Big River, but we're very close to getting the veterans banners where I can say, go ahead, start making all of them. And so right now, with the timing, we're planning to have them up by Memorial Day. And then just a reminder that even though it's February, we are taking pool applications. So if you know people or have people, just let them know that we're taking applications.
Number 11, fiscal year 27 budget workshop on streets, water, and sewer budget requests.
Well, what I think we might just do, since it's early enough, I might just start going through the PowerPoint, and then when we get to the areas of streets, water and sewer, then I can go into those departments a little bit more, if that's okay with everybody.
It's either gonna be in your book
Is it in my book or is it on my computer?
I'm gonna be putting it on the screen here.
It's easier on my book or on my computer.
Well, Mike's gonna put it up on the, hopefully, on the screen.
Yep. it's
But whatever you guys feel more comfortable with, I mean,
Bring a seat better here.
I did email some of this stuff to all of you today. Okay, okay, so we're just gonna start at the beginning. You did kind of see some of this because the police department did present, but our expenses for fiscal year '27 have increased quite a bit. And that's basically due to hiring, we have talked about hiring a third full-time officer, just because we need to get another officer in here and get them trained, and then because the chief will be retiring in April of next year. So with that comes, more pay, more benefits, and then it is the year to purchase a new squad car. So we have money in the budget for that, and then we also need to get 2 in-car cameras for the vehicles. So that all adds into why that budget has increased as much as it has. The fire, again, they went over their budget a couple weeks ago, but there was very slight increase to their budget basically for the work comp, because the work comp did go up, plus we have the Our Experience mod now that has also increased, and then the property insurance. The ambulance, their budget for next fiscal year has increased a little bit. Again, that is due to their salaries and benefits. They have been having a lot more calls than they used to have. So again, they get paid their hourly per call and everything. So that has increased their budget, and then their utilities increased a little bit, and then also the professional fees. And like Kim explained that at the meeting 2 weeks ago, they're looking at some different software, and that will come with a bigger expense, but it will also save time. So that's why the increase in their budget for next year. Okay. Sidewalk. So in our general fund, we have a department that's road, bridges, and streets. So in that, we do like our street improvements, crack sealing, storm sewer repairs, those types of things come out of that budget. So it has increased, the proposed budget has increased, a little bit. And what's included in next year's budget is I have $100,000 budgeted for street improvements. And along with that, we want to start talking about doing some possible alley updates, like to the ones that are really bad. And then maybe seal coating some of the streets that are still where seal coating will help. Also doing some crack sealing in some of the newer areas. And then if there's any storm sewer repairs we need. Then another part of it is the guys want a new mower. It's a combination piece of equipment, and it's actually in your in the back of your binder under supporting documentation from John Deere. It is a mower, snow blower, and then it also has a cab over it. So like when they're snow blowing, the snow isn't blowing right back in their face. Because we have greatly increased the amount of sidewalks that we have to do with the library and stuff. So, and that cost of that is split between parks, this department, road use, water sewer, so that's why it's only showing part of it. Any questions? So if you go back under the tab that says supporting documentation, it's the third sheet.
How much is it?
So it's a $32,900 piece of equipment.
Is that under a state bid item, or is that
Yes.
just a straight out purchase?
Yep. So that's in the budget. Any other questions about the general fund street department? Okay, well, okay, the next department in the general fund is our garbage and recycling department. And, I mean, our expenses went up, but basically it's because our expenses go up 4% every year. Our costs go up, therefore, we also, charge our customers a 4% increase as well. So that's just due to the expense that we incur. The library, she went over that 2 weeks ago as well. The increase was due to salaries and benefits, building maintenance, professional fees, and then office supplies. The next department is parks. You can see that it did go up some. Basically, the reason for the expenses is we are budgeting $10,000 for some new picnic tables for the Cascade Community Park. We have only one left to replace at the Riverview Park. And then we want to start replacing some of them at the Cascade Community Park so that they're the composite type tables instead of the old wood tables. And then we have budgeted $60,000 for park improvements. That just leaves some room for if the park board decides that there's something we want to replace or improve on, so.
So that's, the parking lot down there,
Yes.
would that fall under the park improvements, or?
Probably, I don't know if that's fair to the park board.
Right.
I mean, it should be budgeted under like streets or, yeah. But that definitely needs to be done, at least half of it.
At least, yes, at least part of it.
Mm-hmm,
Where it's used a lot.
right, yep.
Yeah, you go down there during an event, that parking lot's full.
Well, and you just can't go, people like to walk over towards the softball diamond, and you just,
Yeah, it
it's
needs
so
to be
bad that you
replaced.
can't get a wheelchair or anything over there. We're just
So we'll look at doing
elderly
that
people
probably this
walking.
spring.
What would it cost down there to paint lines for parking? I mean, would it be
Not very much.
I mean, you know how, you could maybe, when we got big events down there, tournaments or even whatever, I mean, people just want to make sure they don't get door dinged. But I mean,
Yeah.
I think we could probably get an extra 10 or 15 cars in that parking lot if we put lines in there, maybe I'm wrong, I mean.
No, I think, yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't be much.
I mean, it's something to think about. I don't, because half the time when it's like that, they're parking on 136, and that's a,
That's not good.
Fred really likes that, I bet. And Tyler.
The next department is pool. Our expenses actually decreased, and that was basically because we had the pool repainted last year. That's why the decrease. Okay, the next department is community beautification. This is a department where we usually budget $20,000 for a facade grant. And then we have had $20,000 in the budget for the economic development. So we need to make a decision about that. You guys have seen the letter from them. They are requesting that we keep it in the budget. They don't need it right now, they don't know when they will need it, but they would like to keep that line item in the budget. So you guys need to tell me if we're doing that or not. And then another note on that, so the monies that we may be getting annually from the economic development, we need to identify where we're going to put that. And I personally think that we should develop, add a new fund, and keep it separate from all the other money that we have, so then we know how much exactly we have to put towards the economic development project, or, you know, whatever.
Was the total amount decided, or actually decided on that?
No, not exactly, well, yes and no.
Okay, so I think that also needs to go into that meeting when we discuss that too.
Yeah, this is,
So are you guys okay with the 20,000 for the facade grant? And then do you, right now, do you want to leave the
just leave,
20,000?
yeah, just leave it there
Just leave
until
it
we
there for now.
discuss
Okay.
what's gonna happen.
Okay, the next department is the clerk treasurer. This did just increase a little bit. And I did make a note that we will be making a budget amendment for this current year because of our software upgrade. City Hall, the expenses actually are dropping a little bit. The general insurance amount was a little inflated in fiscal year '26. But then if you look at the big spreadsheet that I can show you in a little bit, if we decide to move forward with anything with the police department, whether that's improving, making some adjustments to the building here, or moving to the library, or whatever we decide to do, we may need to add some funds to that area for the budget, so just something to keep in mind. So once you look at the whole general fund, that's the departments in the general fund. So if you look at fiscal year '26 compared to fiscal year '27, our revenue is going to be increasing and our expenses are going up a little bit. But at the end of the year, it's predicted to have just under $1 million in our general fund. Okay, our next fund that we're gonna talk about is the road use fund. Again, if you look at fiscal year '26 compared to fiscal year '27, our revenues will be increasing a little bit, and then our expenses also are going up. Included in the fiscal year '27 budget for the road use is $65,000 for a new shop roof, $95,000 for seal coating, asphalting some alleys, and then we also need to restripe First Avenue. It hasn't been done since 2019. And then there's also money budgeted for our one truck is a 2015, 2016, and if we want to get any kind of a trade, it's probably time we start looking at getting rid of that. Also then, again, there's money to help go towards the mower and the snow blower. And then we would like to get on a program where we are selling our equipment when it still has a good trade-in value or good outright sale price. A lot of other cities are doing this, and I know we bought our new payloader in 2020. And if we trade it off, we can get $20,000 less than we paid for it. But if we sell it outright, we should be able to get what we paid for it. And then in turn, we can buy a brand new piece of equipment for, $60,000. And if we stay on a 5-year rotation like that, we always have a very good operating piece of equipment, and we do use our payloader a lot. So I have budgeted money in road use, water, and sewer to help pay for that approximate cost. Any questions on that? And it's projected to have $445,000 in road use at the end of fiscal year '27.
So the shop roof, is that Is that beyond recoding, or that needs to be totally,
It needs to be totally redone.
is it rusting or leaking, or what's it?
I think it's leaking, and it's got some other issues. I think they've been kind of like Band-Aid it along, so it's time.
How old is that building?
I don't know.
30 years?
30s?
It's over
At
20-some
least.
years, I know that.
That's just what we're doing.
Okay, local option sales tax, our revenue approximately will be going up a little bit, and then, our expenses going up just a tiny bit too. And then some of that's to pay the debt, if you remember, and then some to road use to help with some things. I mean, we have a very healthy balance in our local option sales tax, and if you remember, we can use that for any lawful purpose, to pay down debt, to use for any projects, basically anything we find necessary to use it on. And as things are right now, we should have a balance of $960,000 in that fund at the end of fiscal year '27.
The swimming pool's being paid out of that, correct?
I'm sorry?
Swimming pool
Yes.
debt is being.
Yes, yep.
What percentage of that is that?
What percentage of,
Of the 262,000 would be for the swimming pool? I mean, or not percentage necessarily, but.
our out of the 420 that we get, our debt payment is like 175,000, I think. Let's see. Our bond for the pool payment for next year is just under $165,000. TIF,
Is that the only debt that's paid out of that?
out of local option, yes. But if you remember, until, for this year, this next year, we're paying 40,000 of the new street bond out of local option as well. So that's where the other expense is coming from. Okay, TIF, basically, our revenue is dropping a little because we only get in what we ask for, and so, and just like the expenses, I mean, that's how much I need. So our estimated balance will be just under $160,000. Our debt payments are going up a little bit, and that's basically because of the new debt that we just took on. The 2017 street bond will be paid off this fiscal year after we make our payment in June, so that's paid off. Our debt payments, this is how it's funded, a debt levy of $235,960, TIF the $113,90, and then local sales tax $205,250. Okay, the water fund, our revenue is projected to increase, with the rates going up and everything. And then our expenses are estimated to go up a little bit as well. And included in the fiscal year '27 expenses is $30,000 to eliminate another double water main that's on Grayton Street. And if you remember, we did the one on 4th and the one on Tyler last year. Also, I have money budgeted for new meters and radio reads, and then the cost of our chlorine for the wells, it's high. It's very high. Because we're trying to get as many meters changed out into radio reads because it saves time, it's more accurate. So we're trying to be a little more aggressive on getting those changed out. Also, then again, there is money budgeted for part of the purchase of the truck and the mower and the snow blower, and then part of the payloader if we go that option. The next fund is our sewer fund. Again, you can see that our revenue is increasing with having the rates increased, and then our expenses are going up just a tiny bit. Basically, things that are included in the sewer budget for next year is money for televising the sewer line, so we'll continue to do that, and hauling sludge, and then again, a portion of the truck, the snow blower and mower, and then part of the payloader. The next slide is valuations. So you can see from fiscal year '26 to fiscal year '27, Jones County went up. It went up, not much, but it did go up. But Dubuque County, we had a very large increase in our valuations. We actually had an 8.5% growth, which is great, but then we're penalized by the state because we did have such high growth. And I'll show you that when we get to the valuation section. I'll show you how that played out. I mean, it's good to see that we have such growth like that. It's just unfortunate that we don't get to recoup it all. The next slide is just an overview of what we've historically had for our levy rates. As you can see, they've went up, they went down, and now we're kind of staying the same, maybe just a little bit more. But the thing that's interesting to note is you can see how the general fund levy is going down. That's because we have growth and we're being penalized. So what we can collect is decreasing.
Do we then count that full growth the following year then?
I'm sorry?
Do we then count that full growth the next year? I mean, it went up to like 10 million, then next year, that creates that becomes our basis, and then you get the 2%, is that correct?
No, I mean, yeah, it looks at where we are, like, for this year, okay? So where our valuations are for fiscal year '27, then at '28, it'll look at that and see what the basis is. If we get over a 6% increase, we're penalized, basically.
Okay, I'm saying, but the following year, when we're looking at this next year, then we base it on the past year, the increase of 10 million? That property taxes went up?
No, it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't look at that. It looks at our number for valuation of this year and then next year. It doesn't take into play that we had a $10 million increase this year. It depends on what our
But
increase
the
is.
new basis, I mean, like, next year is like 114 million, went from 104 million. Does then the new base start at 114, so you're not really being penalized? You're just being delayed?
No, every year is its own year, and whatever our growth is what we're penalized on if we have too much growth. So next year, if our,
Let's say next year stays exactly the same.
then that's good. I mean, it's bad, but it's good.
Well, no, I'm just saying, but,
It's bad monetarily, this way.
but if it's at 114 million right now, and at 2%, is that then the basis for next year? Then you take 114 and put the 2% over top of that?
Right,
So
right.
actually, you're only delaying the inevitable.
Yes and no. It just
Well,
depends
it
on.
hurts us this year, but next year, it'd be based on the 114 million. And then you get the 2% growth, or the whatever growth on top of that. allowable
Right,
growth.
if we have growth.
Yeah,
I mean, we might not have growth. I mean, I don't see that, but
I'm just asking whether the base this past year, '26 was 104 million. Now it's 114, which exceeds the.
Right.
It's 8%. But next year, do we look at 114 million and then allow 6% growth off that? Is that correct?
right,
So really, we're just being docked this year, really. I mean, the new basis goes up to 114 million then when we're looking at that next year at this time.
right. But if we have a 8% growth again next year.
Well, I'm not saying
we're-
that. Let's say we have 6%. I mean, that the basis keeps changing year after year.
Right,
Next year, we'll be
right,
looking
yeah, our
at 114 would be our
valuations,
base.
yes.
And then allow growth. So we're really not getting, it's nice getting $10 million worth of growth this year, but next year, we're not being penalized. It's not like they look back at this $10 million. We incorporate that into our taxes next year, or our revenue sources next year,
Yeah,
I assume. Or I'm just asking the question.
yeah, I mean, each.
Our basis would be 100, base this year was 104,
And
went
then
up to
114.
114,
Right.
which is 10 million.
Right.
Next year, we'll be looking at 114, and then if it goes up to some number that,
120 or whatever it is,
Whatever.
right.
okay.
Yep.
The base
Yes.
keeps changing, I guess.
Right,
And we don't
right,
get
yeah.
penalized for this past year more than 1 year.
Right, each year is a unique situation. Whatever our valuation increases, decreases, whatever happens, and it just depends. But if you go over like 5 and 6% of an increase, we're basically penalized.
Our base changes, that's the way.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked about the levies. I mean, some of it's going up just because of the employee benefits and then insurances. But the debt levy went up just a little bit, like I said. The overall is going up a very small amount. So this is just a snapshot. It might be, can you make that bigger?
Can't.
You can't make it
I don't
bigger?
want it being in the
Okay,
slide.
I have it bigger later in your packet, so you can actually see it bigger. But, I mean, you can see everything looks, I think, very good. The stuff in purple, I have that purple because it's gonna change. So the Highway 136 project is not finalized yet because we're waiting on the DOT to do their review of the project. And once they're completely done, then we will get some more money from them for the project. And there'll be a little bit of engineering yet. Once that is all finalized, we've got all the money, we've got our last expense, then whatever the balance of that fund is, I'm going to transfer then to 322, which is where our Third Avenue and Hayes Street project will be coming out of. So that will be zeroed out, and then the rest of that money will be up into 322. And also, Fund 111, there may be money that we have left in there to transfer to 323 because that was, you guys had allocated that for that project. So I will probably transfer it to 323, and then whatever is, like I said, whatever is left to zero that out, then we'll get transferred to 322, so.
027, the bicentennial reserve fund. Is anybody aware of that for the 250th year? Or is there anything going on, I guess?
I mean, I
It's
haven't.
$5,000. It's been,
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about anything yet.
well, if you're looking for seed money, that's where
Yeah.
it's always gone to.
And I mean, we do keep adding to that because that money is in our money market, so as we get interest on that, some goes to that, that's what the 300 is every year.
Yeah, I'm just saying, just so, I don't know if anybody's,
Something's going on, yeah.
I don't know if anybody's
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
anything, or if we're doing anything special for,
I haven't heard anything yet.
well, if
Have you
there
heard
is, at
anything?
least somebody will know there's some funds there to start out.
So, yeah, we do have funds, some money if we need anything. One other thing that we could potentially talk about is, not tonight, but just something, in the Fund 605. That was established back in 2012 when we got our bonds for doing the water tower and the well. And we had to maintain a balance of $80-some thousand to meet our bond requirement. We no longer have that bond anymore. So we could potentially drop that down and just hold the $56,000 that we now have as a bond payment for our water department. So just something to think about if we wanted to transfer some of that to just our regular water fund.
First Avenue Reserve, do we know what, is that ever being tapped into?
The 22,
Yes.
I think that is for the bridge. I think it's for the bridge on First Avenue, is what I've always been told. So we kind of just leave that alone. And then, if you notice, 25 and 26, there's like no money in that. So those two, we're gonna zero those out. There's just that little bit left. Just so we get some of these funds cleaned up a little bit more.
That's the bridge fund. I know we keep talking about it, about sealing that bridge deck.
We didn't.
We did it
We,
in,
we looked into it
When
and
did
we
we
didn't,
do
we
it?
didn't, it wasn't up for it yet.
I think it was 2019 that we did it last.
Didn't we have somebody look at it last year?
Yeah, but
Thought
it,
so.
yeah.
But he said
We
it
have
wasn't.
it, we have it every 2 years.
I don't think it needed it.
But it
I mean,
was,
that's the inspections. I'm talking about,
yeah.
The ceiling, we talked about ceiling last year.
Yeah, we did talk about it last year,
We
but
had
I
somebody
think we
come and look
found
at
it
it.
had just been done, like, I think it was 2019 when we did it.
seems like it's longer than that, but
It seems longer ago than that.
I know Pat Carney and,
Yeah.
Would've been on the
I'm pretty sure I
council, I'm
looked
pretty
it
sure.
up when we talked about it, and that's,
They haven't did it since you were on council?
that's what I found. so.
no, it has, but it's been a while. I just want to make sure I don't want to see rusted rebar or whatever and failure
Okay.
just because we're
I'll
not putting.
look it up again and double check, but I'm pretty sure I looked at it. Okay, transfers, I just always include this. Again, it's really hard to read, but again, it's back here, bigger. Basically moving money, like to debt. We levy for employee benefits, that goes into Fund 112, then we have to move it out to both the general fund and road use. Just like we levy for our insurance, so that goes into the general fund, and then we have to move money out to road use for their insurance. One other thing for the water, so we need to maintain our well maintenance. As you remember, in '24, we had the pump in the well collapse, fall down, whatever. And we are supposed to be doing maintenance on those every 10 years. So we would like to do the maintenance on well 5 in fiscal year '27 and then get on a rotation. So we're moving money, because there is a fund that has money for that, so we're moving money to cover that. And then starting in fiscal year '28, we'll start moving money back to that fund so that we have the money every 10 years to cover the cost of that. The next 2 slides are just an overview of what our debt payments are for fiscal year '27. Just so you're aware of that. So I did things a little different. So our new software, I love it, but it doesn't allow us to print off the budget worksheets like we did on the old system, and then I go in and put the numbers in and we can print it off. It doesn't allow it to do that. So I have the revenues in a spreadsheet format. So for this year, it's the last column, fiscal year '27 proposed budget. And this is all of the revenues. And then you can see where the one column is fiscal year '26 approved. So that was the approved budget. Then, as part of the budget process, I always go through and look at all of the revenues, expenses, and if I see changes and I know things are coming up, I do an amended budget, and that's what the second column is. So then it also helps when I go to do the budget amendment, it's easier to look at this. But with the new software, what I can do is I can put in the full account number and then the amount in a spreadsheet. I have to make sure that the revenues are all negative, the expenses positive, and then I can actually import it from a spreadsheet into the software, so I don't have to manually enter it. Because with the old system, I had to manually enter everything. So this will be nice. It's just setting up the spreadsheet, and then I can just use it every year once I have it set up.
That's logical.
So, and you can see that I have like the departments, the funds totaled, and then an overview of what the total revenue will be for the projected for the fiscal year '26 budget year, and then what I projected to be for the next fiscal year. And then I basically did the same thing for the expenses, went through, again, the approved budget for this year, what I'm looking at for like an amended budget, and then what the proposal is for this next year. And again, I have it totaled by department, and then like I have a total for the general fund. Again, I have some things highlighted just because it's things that we might need to make a decision on. When you get down to almost the end of the general fund, there's an area that was 651, which used to be our cable access department. We don't have that anymore, but because there was stuff budgeted in the last 2 to 3 years, we do have to include it, but we don't use it anymore. If you look at Fund 111, again, I have that highlighted blue because I know I'm going to be moving some money out of that. I'm just not sure exactly how much, so I have it highlighted. So whatever we decide whatever I need to move to get, because basically that fund needs to also be at zero, because with the ARPA money, we had to, if you remember, we had to have it basically allocated by the end of '24, and by the end of '26, we have to have the money spent. So, and you guys had approved the couple of projects, so we just need to make sure that we move all that money out for the proposed projects that we had done, so. One other thing that I have in the budget for the water is well number 4, we don't use that anymore. It's really not even a well that we can use in an emergency. So we have talked to the DNR about getting it capped and not using it at all anymore, because as long as it's here in existence, we do have to do testing on it. So we're looking at potentially having it abandoned, and then we would have the building deconstructed and capping it, so we would no longer have to do testing or anything with that well.
4 is the one out here, right?
Yeah,
By
yep,
Jim
by
Waters.
McKinley and 7th or whatever the street is.
What's that cost to cap that?
I have 25,000 budgeted. We had talked to Tom at Northway, and he potentially gave us that kind of a cost, so.
Do they pull the casing?
They probably, I think.
Or a portion of it?
Yeah, they probably would have to. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure on everything they
Any
have to
other
do,
well, they
but-
usually fill it with bentonite and then dig down so far and then cut the well casing off. That's a normal well, or residential well.
Okay, if you guys want to turn to the tab that has taxes valuations. So the first one is, so this is what our certification page will look like for the budget that we're working on. And at the top, you can see what our total valuations were, and that, the growth, and then, you know, how we're limited. So basically, this year, our total levy is that 11.65852. And then, just for comparison reasons, I put in what our fiscal year '26 was, just so you can see. And then I also included, so that you see what the valuation page is for both Dubuque County and Jones County. So, again, you can see that we have the over $10 million of growth in our valuation in Dubuque County. And then, but our ag land dropped a little. And then for Jones County, you can see that we had a just over $240,000 increase in our valuation compared to last year. The next page is, so with the things that the state was doing, and the rollback credits and all of that stuff, we still get to collect business property tax credit reimbursement. And so that's what that page is for. Basically, we put in our valuations, and then I have to put in what our levy amounts are for the special general fund, special revenue, debt, and our capital projects. And then it calculates this for me. So because of that, we're getting almost $70,000. But on the flip side of that, we also were receiving commercial and industrial replacement backfill. And if you remember, like 21, I think it was, they started saying how they were going to start decreasing that amount of backfill till eventually we wouldn't get it anymore. Well, fiscal year '27, we are no longer getting any backfill. So I included that spreadsheet that shows that we don't get any this year. The next pages I just included so that you can see. So we do get township money for our ambulance, and that's based on levy amounts that they have to apply for, and then they return it to us. And I just showed you how that's kind of calculated, and then I also included the valuation pages that we get that shows where their valuations are. Any questions on any of that? Okay. So under supporting document, that tab, I have a quote from Martin regarding the payloader that we had talked about. If we go forward with this, they would give us a trade. We're thinking we could sell it outright and get more. So, and possibly get what we paid for it. And we bought our payloader in 2020 and we paid $152,000 for it. So we're hoping that we could sell it outright and get that. So we basically have covered our costs, and then we just have to pay the difference then to get the new piece of equipment. The next few pages goes over, again, that mower, snow blower, piece of equipment that we would like to purchase. And then the next page is an equipment capital plan spreadsheet that we do. And I did add some things to this because of the fact that I think it's important not just to have like equipment, but a way to track, like when we have to do maintenance. So I did add the water, the well maintenance, so that we know, what year we need, what year it's been done, and when year we need to do it again. And I did update the fire equipment replacement schedule based on what they had come up with. I did also put something else in here, but I must have did it after I printed this. So I'll update that for you guys too. As you can see, the one fire truck we did finally get sold. And that's the one thing that I'm updating for the insurance is, so for our ambulances and our fire trucks, we have it on a replacement cost. But after looking at what they had for a replacement cost, I need to update that because it's a little on the low side. So, you can see the years, the different pieces of equipment and trucks and stuff we have. And then years when it's getting replaced. And then a plan on when we plan to replace all the other equipment. Any questions? The next page is that transfer sheet that was in the PowerPoint, but it's bigger so that you can actually see. But I did make some notes like on employee benefits and then the general insurance levy that we have, that we only transfer what's needed, because it's all a budget, a guesstimate, for everything, so. The next page is that fund balance report. Again, it goes through where we ended fiscal year 25 at, what I'm estimating the total revenue to be for this fiscal year, the expenses, and then where I hope that we're at by the end of this fiscal year, and then what the revenues and expenses will be for next fiscal year, and where we hope to see ourselves at the end of next fiscal year. And again, I have those purple because I know that those numbers are going to be changing. So one thing I did include in here is with talking with the police about the police department and adding a third officer and all that. So there was a survey that was done. Initially, it was done in 2018, but we just all updated it in the last few weeks, and it looks at the 2020 population, the number of full-time officers, and then how we would rank by the number of officers that we have based on our population. And you can see that we are basically at the bottom. I mean, based on our population, we probably should have a few more officers, but, I found it really interesting going through some of this where there's cities that are smaller than us and they have more officers. And then other cities that are around our size have like 3 times the amount of officers we have. So I just thought you guys might be interested in seeing that. And then the next few sheets are basically spreadsheets on salary increases. So the first one is for the police department only. And as you can see, I have, our full-time, our chief and our full-time officer. And then I do have it in here, hiring a third officer beginning like July 1. And a proposed wage that we'd have to pay them. Also notes about, that the chief will be retiring in April, and at that point, we will have to bump up our other officer to chief if that's what's happening, and then that would affect the salaries for the police department. It will affect the benefits, health insurance, all that. So just some things to keep in mind, so.
Oh, boy.
So,
Does anybody ever not take the city health insurance?
yeah, we have one employee that does not take
And then
it.
it doesn't affect the,
It just lowers.
Yeah.
No.
just curious, I mean, sometimes.
I mean, most people, most times you do take it just because it is such good insurance.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah, I
it's
agree.
very,
Yeah.
low cost to the employee.
Yeah.
And then just for comparison purposes, I did 4% and a 3% increase, just so you guys see that. And I did that as well for City Hall staff, the library staff, and then Public Works. And then on the second page of those all, it kind of shows how it's broken out. So like Sammy and my wage, bulk of it comes out of the general fund, but then the rest of it is split evenly between road use, water, and sewer. And then the Public Works, they're split between road use, water, sewer, and some from snow. Just so you see how that all works. And then the rest of, which I did these backwards, so I apologize for that. They should have been turned around the other way, but sometimes when you put paper a certain way in the printer, it doesn't always do what you think it's gonna do. But anyway, these are the spreadsheets of all of our debt amortization based on each debt obligation. So I mean, it's looking pretty good, actually. Like I said, we have the street sweeper, this will be paid off in fiscal year '27. The water is paid off in '32. But by then we might have new things that come up with the water, so. The library, 34. Our pool bond is also paid off in fiscal year '24. Our Third Avenue bonds, they're paid off in '36, but remember, they are callable before that, and our hopes is that we can pay that off early. Our big sewer bond will be paid off finally in '37.
All right.
Yeah. And then the other smaller library bonds, they're all like long-term, 39, and then 39 for the highway, the part of that big bond that we did last year. And then behind that, I just included all of the fire department stuff that you guys all received at the meeting. And then, which included a copy of who's on the fire department, their equipment replacement schedule that they've kind of come up with. But I did update our equipment capital plan with that schedule. And then all the other sheets that they included at their meeting. And then the very last thing, which you don't have the copies yet, in 2 weeks, they will be presenting, but this is a spreadsheet of the groups that we usually give money to and what they have requested this year, which is pretty much the same as last year. So, any questions on things? And if you want, You can either leave these here, and I will put the copies of the outside entity stuff in. I will be making copies and putting it in here. Or you can take the binder with you, look through it, and if you have questions, Jamie, I know this is your very first budget, so you're probably like, if it would help to meet with me, and I'd be glad to spend time with you, kind of
I may
going
take you
through it a
up on
little more.
that.
Okay.
Thank
But,
you.
yeah. But if you guys want to take these, look through stuff, if you have questions, we can talk about it in 2 weeks when because we really kind of need to finalize the budget in 2 weeks, because then the very next week, I have to have it uploaded in the online system, because then the auditors grab it and then they do their thing. So I have to have it done like by March 3rd, so.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
If there's nothing else for the betterment of the community, I'd like a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Weber,
Second.
second by Hush, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everyone.